Zimbabwe cash crisis. We're talking about Venezuela once again.
Systemic important banks. They removed the one factor into the market called monetary awareness.
Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more RTD News updates. And as you can tell from today's title, why did an empty Russian plane land in Venezuelan airspace? And so the question I want to pose to you guys is it possible, as a report will show, that they're trying to smuggle out some Venezuelan gold into Russia, or could it be something else? But today I got an article and a couple tweets I want to share with you, and more importantly, get your take on this matter as to what's going on down in Venezuela. As we've been talking about over the last couple of days, how things aren't what they really seem to be on the surface. And so it's my opinion that pretty soon we're going to find out what this is all about as we head closer to what could be possibly considered war. But yet we're going to dive into today's article. But before I do so, as always,
Recession will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months.
A crash is coming.
If you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.
So as I mentioned today, I have one article, but more importantly, I want to start off by talking about some of the recent tweets that's out there in the social media sphere and give you an idea as to what most people are saying about what this suspicious plane from Russia is doing in Venezuela. So it's my belief that not only is there some type of plot or plan to help out and assist Maduro in this whole regime change narrative coming out of the Western Hemisphere, i.e. the United States and President Trump's administration, but it's good to say that if Vladimir Putin has his hands in on this, he's probably 1 or 2 steps ahead, as he's always been, just like in prior attempts where the U.S. looks to impose and invade other nations. So there's really no way of telling what is actually going on, apart from the fact that there's a plane on an airstrip down there in Venezuela. But yet I want to thumb through some of the tweets here and then give you more details from the primary article that's come out. And then as always, we tend to find out after the fact, but it's always good to play around with some ideas to see what possibly could be. And so with that being the case, let's go to some of these tweets here on the social media. So in Twitter, if you just type in Venezuela plane, you get some articles right here. And the very first one, it says, arrival of Russian passenger jet fires up Venezuela's rumor mill. And as you scroll down through it a little bit, you get an idea as to different people commenting. And so it's interesting how more news articles are being posted. And then you got some opinions along the way. Then we have one from the Daily Star showing Trump and Maduro working together. Then we got some more personal comments down here, one from Yahoo. Scroll on down more, you see more of what people have to say about what is expected as an empty plane and 20 tons of gold as a subject matter. And so as always, there's no real telling of what's going on apart from what we hear after the fact. But yet as always, as I mentioned before, I think that there's a plot and plan to assist Mr. Maduro while his administration, whether legitimate or not, is being influenced by outside forces. And so if you're interested, feel free to type in Venezuela plane into Twitter and you'll get more for yourself. But the very article itself is from the Telegraph, and it says, Russia claims no knowledge of planes sent to Venezuela to extract 20 tons of gold from the national bank. And scroll through and give you something to think about. And more importantly, link is below if you want to find out and read for yourself. But it says Russian authorities moved to squash suspicions that 20 tons of gold are about to be moved from Venezuela to Moscow. It said allegations that a Russian jet which landed in Caracas was due to load 840 million portion of the country's gold reserve surfaced early on Wednesday. It says Venezuela's opposition-controlled parliament, sidelined by Maduro regime, said in a tweet that they received information from the Bank of Venezuela that a plane from Moscow arrived to Caracas to, quote, extract at least 20 tons of gold. So here we have the idea that wherever the story came from, the Bank of Venezuela apparently shared information with the opposing party of the Maduro regime, as they put it, mentioning that a Venezuelan plane had touched down, and I'm assuming that they may have received orders from somebody or how. That's not really given. And it says, quote, we are demanding the bank to reveal details of what is happening. That gold does not belong to Calixto Ortega, the head of the bank. It belongs to the Venezuelan people, which is very good. It's interesting that they mentioned that the gold belongs to the Venezuelan people. And so if the gold truly belonged to the Venezuelan people, and then right below, why is the currency hyperinflated away to oblivion to where it's not worth anything, to where the Venezuelan people are starving in the streets and it's reported that they're not being fed and all the things we hear from the alternative media sense. And so if there's 20 tons of gold in the vaults there, why are the people struggling? So it lets me know that the linkage between having a what used to be a gold-backed currency and just unbacked fiat paper doesn't seem to be quite equal these days, to where having gold for what purposes, I'm not quite sure when it comes to the situation in Venezuela. Scroll down more. It says Russia is prepared to help resolve the political situation in Venezuela in any way possible without interfering in the country's internal affairs, Mr. Peskov was quoted as saying by the RBC news outlet. It says on Monday, Russian newspaper reported that an empty passenger plane departed from Moscow to Caracas. So it is official that a news source out of Russia mentioned that an empty plane left Russia headed to Venezuela. For what? We'll see. It was the first time that it's made this route, the data has showed. Said that the plane carried 2 crew teams and suggested that there was no obvious reason for it to fly there, since Russian tourists are officially recommended not to visit Venezuela. It says sales of package tours to the country have stopped long ago. I thought I would just take a minute to shine a little light on this subject matter here, in the fact that there's a plane in Venezuela that was reported having left Russia out of nowhere for no apparent reason. It's empty at that, with 2 crew members on there. And so this all happens in a time where there's a lot of pressure being placed on Maduro to renounce his presidency to a foreigner in the name of Juan Guaido, who is a US-led backed puppet in a sense. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But just to give you my opinion on the matter, I don't doubt that this plane is there for a reason. And it's a fairly big Boeing 777. So that lets me know that it's capable of carrying a lot. Now, whether it's going to be carrying Maduro and some gold along with it, or perhaps Russia has invested a good portion of funds into Venezuela, and perhaps they want some of their funds back. And of course, the funds are not there. And the only thing of value left in that country outside of what's in the ground in the form of oil happens to be the stockpile of gold in the vaults, if it's even there. And so I wouldn't doubt if Russia was trying to basically receive some payment back from investment they've already made in the country, and it's going to come through the form of gold, which is what we know they're looking to accumulate anyway, as they're moving away from the dollar as well. But whether or not Russia has ownership in some of that gold, possibly because of some past debts or whatnot, no one knows. But it's good to say that this article mentions that someone is quoted as saying the gold belongs to the Venezuelan people. But yet when the Venezuelan people are starving, I'm not sure the gold has benefited them at all. So it's no surprise that right now this whole scandal looks like it's about gold possibly. And what that reveals to me is the importance of actually owning that physical metal there. Because as the motto goes, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So other than that, I would love to hear your thoughts on this matter. Feel free to scroll down below, leave a comment. More importantly, if you find this informative, don't be afraid to share it. I'll see you later.